First of all, thank you, Eric, as well as to Lambs for making this pre-launch possible here in the Philippines. Today, we will emphasize on our new Sterna app, which is, to my knowledge, the first international mobility app in the world. First of all, what is an international mobility app? In short, I would describe it as a connection between candidates from developing countries to companies which are established in first world countries. But the best way for me to explain my definition of an international mobility app would be actually to give you a few of my sources of inspiration as to what constitutes the app. I like to think of it as a combination of many notorious apps and websites in the market today, which basically are made for an entirely different purpose than moving people around the globe, are somehow complementary to international mobility. What happens if you mix, for say, a professional network such as LinkedIn with the technical know-how of a Wikipedia, with the matching capabilities of a dating app such as Tinder? Well, the answer, you get some of the main features of the Sterna app. When we started to work on this project, we decided to divide the Sterna platform into three major apps that interact together as one. The first app is called the Sterna Admin. This app allows agencies which are located in the same countries of candidates, as well as the Sterna representatives, to create conferences, training sessions, recruitment events, and input the data that for every applicant, such as the work experience, academic titles, and language levels. The second app is basically known as Sterna. It is intended for candidates who dream of living and working abroad. In it, the worker must answer a survey which defines 10 personality traits. In addition, the candidate must fill for every related work experience what we commonly call addendums. These addendums are predefined parameters or skill sets for which the user needs to give himself a qualification. We ask that the candidates be as honest as possible when entering the data, because we inform them that the companies will eventually interview them and evaluate them. Once the candidate is approved and certified by Sterna, his profile will be immediately shown to companies abroad. Therefore, we created the third app called Sterna Client. The main objective of this app is to facilitate the search of qualified workers for companies around the world and enable them to reserve candidates instantly for virtual interviews or on-site interviews. Since today is the pre-launch of the Sterna app for the candidates, we will not discuss thoroughly the Sterna Admin and Sterna Client apps. Basically, the Sterna Admin app is intended only for approved agencies and partnerships. As for the Sterna Client app, will be launched next October once our database contains a sufficient numbers of candidates. The Sterna platform is built for massive recruitment for positions that require skilled labor in the 5 following sectors: industrial, transportation, information and communications technology, health, and gastronomy. The minimum requirements to join the Sterna community is to be at least 21 years of age and to have a minimum of 2 years experience in one of the 5 previous sectors. Many of you are probably wondering how Sterna chooses a country for its candidates and the destination countries in the app. Before I give you the answer, I want to tell you the 2 most important values of Sterna. Sterna is multicultural, and Sterna is for equal rights, meaning it respects people from all origins, religions, sex, and sex orientation. We preach to hiring companies using the Sterna platform to treat foreigners, workers equally as to their native workers. Our selection criteria for candidates is based on many elements such as spoken languages, technology assessment, retention rates, free trade agreements, which includes international mobility within them, and express visas for specific profiles. For the destinations within the app, our main selection criteria is to be a first world country who generally have an aging population, meaning having an average superior to 40 years of age with an unemployment rate around 3%. Now that we understand the principles of the Sterna platform, you might ask why we needed to have multiple apps. Well, to understand the answer to that question, I need to give you a crash course on international recruitment. First, we need to understand how the normal process works in order to understand better the benefits of the apps. When a candidate wishes to work abroad, the first step he needs to do is to get his passport. He can then find an agency or multiple agencies to apply with. After, the agencies need to meet the applicants individually and do a preliminary interview. Afterwards, the agency will have to validate all documents surrounding the work experience and the studies of each applicant. Once the validation is completed, the candidate will have access to several job offers on multiple websites for which he can apply on. When a company is interested in the candidate, an interview is organized by the agency with both parties. Depending on the outcome of the interview, the candidate can receive or not a job offer or contract to be signed. The agency will be responsible for the logistics surrounding the signature of the contract, as well as any required forms and exams the candidate may need to present for the visa filing. Once all documents have been supplied to the agency, the visa demand can be filed. After the acceptation by the governing authorities, the worker can be deployed. As you can see, this process requires an enormous amount of time and energy for both candidates and the agency in applications, validations, follow-ups, logistics, which can lead to headache, frustration, and unnecessary delays. This is why we created a real-time synergy that resulted in the Sterna platform, which simplifies the entire process in a few clicks. The Sterna app allows the candidate to select a conference of his interest, then plan a meeting at the agency for the training and validation process. It also allows him to select the destination he desires to receive offers from. He can then rate all his abilities and skills related to his work experience and give a thumbs up to the job offer that most suits him. He will then receive automatically interview requests with the basic work conditions and meeting information. If the interview is successful, he can later receive a preview of his work contract or the actual work contract. And finally, he can receive updated information from the agency in regards to post-hiring until the completion of his work contract. And now, it is my great honor to present to you the Sterna app. Salamat po.